Hey.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Am I allowed to drink during this?
Of course.
Am I allowed to curse during this?
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Rudy Mancuso is a Brazilian-Italian multi-hyphenate filmmaker, creator, and composer whose creativity has brought over 2 billion views from a loyal global fan base, while also attracting elite brands like Amazon, Disney, and Google. His debut feature film, Música, in which he directed, co-wrote, starred, and composed, is an autobiographical tale about a young man with musical synesthesia, a condition Rudy actually has himself. The film released on Prime Video in April and received huge critical acclaim, including a 96% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Additionally, he's created music videos for Alesso, OAR, and many others, as well as directing Stories from Our Future, a unique collaboration with Netflix. A self-taught musician, Rudy has released an instrumental album, opened for Justin Bieber on the Purpose World Tour, and performed at the Hollywood Bowl for Disney's Coco Live to Film experience, in addition to being the creator behind puppet comedy series Awkward Puppets. He's also a co-founder of Syntech, a proprietary technology that translates music to visual art in real time. This is Creator Convo with Rudy Mancuso.
What up, Jordy?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
We used to see each other every day.
As if we don't see each other every
I
night
know.
playing soccer.
Yeah, we do play soccer every night. It's the best. We've known each other for like 10 years on and off. It's
Too
crazy.
long, man. Too long. We need to take a break.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Breaks are good.
Well, there was a break, though. Like,
Yeah.
there was a time when, like, everyone that we were growing up with, like,
Yeah.
in the Hollywood days, kind of
Went their own ways.
went their own direction, and then
Then
we all
came back.
convened in a way.
Yeah, it's cool too because we're both from Jersey, but we didn't know each other in Jersey. But I feel
No.
like that's why we vibed from the beginning. I just remember the day I moved into 1600 Vine, you and like Jeff were like the first two people I met.
Yeah.
And Jeff was like, "Oh, you shoot videos? Let's do a fight scene in the elevator right now." Like we just shot something like right
Yeah.
away.
There was just an immediate familiarity there because we were all like East Coast idiots.
Yeah, exactly. So what it's funny too because I feel like people now know your backstory a little bit because of Música, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
You started doing videos in Jersey. Was it and what made you like go onto Vine as the platform? And did you study film to begin with? Like how did you get into all like what made you be like, okay, I'm just going to start making stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't really like a conscious effort to like make videos because that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
Then like short form video shot on mobile wasn't really a thing. This is pre-TikToks, pre-Instagram video. So film was my passion and music. So composing and you and I talk about this all the time. Like movies were kind of co-raised us in a way. So I was like always trying to pursue filmmaking and composing. And then my buddy in college told me about Vine. This app where you have 6 seconds to tell a story and it loops. And I didn't have social media, so I was very off the grid, but that sounded really intriguing to me. You have to tell a story in 6 seconds, and then it loops, perfect for music, perfect for jokes. And that's when I just started messing around, shooting some stuff with my mom, shooting these like perfect piano loops that you don't know where they stop and end. And then in Puppets as like a sub channel. So wasn't ever the plan to make short form, but I saw it as a perfect pathway to making films.
Yeah, and it was such a cool springboard too. And what made you want to come to LA? Because you were successful at doing it in Jersey, right? But did something in you were like, all right, movies and the industry's all in LA, so like I need to head west?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit a part of that, but it was mostly encouraged. Did I mess up the whole video?
All right, thanks guys.
Start
See you
from the
later.
beginning. Thanks so much. That was a lot of fun. By the way, when I do that, is that an issue?
No, it's not. But we can.
Start from the beginning. Yeah, Jordan, it's really nice to see you, dude. What was the question? Oh, LA.
Yeah, LA.
So I was inspired by my college friend at the time, Rami Youssef, who went on to do great things, and he created the show Rami.
Golden Globe winner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We went to school together, Rutgers, Newark, and he quit school because he booked a gig in LA, which is like a Nickelodeon sitcom, and he said, "You should come visit me," and I visited him, and that was all the inspiration I needed. I was like, I need to be out here, and his encouragement is what partly what inspired me to quit school, which I was always looking for an excuse to quit school because I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
And after coming to LA and visiting him, crashing on his couch for a little bit, I realized that's where I wanted to be. And then that serendipitously kind of coincided with this whole video making stuff. And I started working with brands and making money. So I could afford to leave school and I could make the move to LA. Ended up living with Rami and we had a house together for several years.
That's so cool. That just so happens the person that you're friends with in college and high school ends up like,
I know.
Yeah.
At the time he was just like figuring it out, and he was a super talented comedian, but he was on this Nickelodeon sitcom. So when we lived together, I was developing Música as he was developing Rami.
Crazy.
Both personal stories that took place in Jersey.
Yeah. And I remember at one point you and him were writing awkward puppets.
Yeah, that's right. He helped a lot with the puppet stuff.
Yeah.
We did a Mike Tyson thing with Rami. We did a bunch of sketches together.
Yeah. It's cool when you could just like your friends or your collaborators.
No, it's a dream. Until they get famous and they're not your friends anymore.
Yeah, then they don't answer you. such is the circle of life. No. But it's cool too because you're so obviously musically sided like that. Do you think you see things more in music or in video, or they really are just like an equal like tangent for you?
I'd say music is kind of spearheads every creative choice. Like I'm an editor like you, and I sound is what is guiding the cut to me.
The rhythm of it, and the pacing.
Yeah, because we talk about rhythm. It's not exclusive to music. There's a rhythm to a dialogue. There's a rhythm to comedy. There's an obvious rhythm, to music. So yeah, music is always like the driving force for me. I have synesthesia, and that's why I made Música, as a particular type of synesthesia where I have a very specific relationship to sound. Like that hammering, that construction is driving me nuts.
Insane. Right I'm about to just go outside and go crazy.
Like I'm sure you'll be able to engineer that out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think these mics pick them up, but yeah.
Right? So this is all for nothing.
No, but yeah, I'll emphasize it.
Well, there's enough tools today where you can. I mean, you're very much at the forefront of like the Jesus Christ, the technological advancement in all this software.
Yeah, I love it. I love any type of technological advancement. Also, I'm just such a sci-fi geek. I feel like we connected just because we liked similar movies and music and all of that stuff. But AI, not just like the Spielberg and Kubrick movie, not what's about to take over the world, but like those type of movies, Minority Report, all of that stuff. It's always just been something that intrigues me. So a way to kind of bridge that is the best.
Wait, Spielberg and I know it was originally a Kubrick film, and then Spielberg
took over because I think Kubrick passed away, and then Spielberg ended up finishing the movie. Yeah, I love that movie. I recently
it's amazing. I rewatched it recently as well.
Yeah,
it seems more relevant than ever.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
But yeah, like we've always connected over a passion for films and filmmakers and similar skill sets, music, editor, creative, director.
And what's cool too is because we would shoot and edit things together, and I always, I have OCD in a certain way. I feel like you do too. And when we were editing, I just remember whether it was a comedy, whether it was a musical thing, whatever it was, there was always that rhythm while we were editing. You were just like, I could see you were just, okay, here, we got to hit here, or like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those beats, and I feel like that's just instinctual, right? You can't really teach that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Like, but that's my experience. I'm sure that others have honed their craft in different ways, but for me, like, it was always very immediate. Like, since I was like 6, I understood. I had like a fundamental understanding of like rhythm and musical timing. Like, I understood what felt rhythmically correct, even though it's kind of a strange statement, right? Because is there such thing as rhythmically correct?
Yeah, it's like everyone has their own perception of what. Yeah,
and yet like a certain sequence or live performance or even snappy dialogue, when it feels right, yeah, universally.
Yeah, I feel like there's something with like Aaron Sorkin's writing or even the way Vince Vaughn is on screen. It's like I always come back to that. It doesn't matter how, like I could watch The West Wing now or I could watch Wedding Crashers now and it still has that like there's
snappiness.
There's a snappiness. There's no breathing room. And it's not like that in real life. And I think maybe that's why it appeals to us is because there is no like breath there really. It's
it's true. It's true. But like, and not everybody's a fan of that style. Right? And some people aren't a fan of Sorkin's writing. I happen to be a huge one. I know you are as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely like, it feels like he's writing the way people wish they spoke. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that's not how they're thinking.
Yeah.
And when you pair that with grounded, very skillful performances, you have this amazing convergence of like hyper reality and reality, and it's like that's the magic.
Yeah, it really is. I gotta give you your flowers because it's so cool seeing, obviously going from Vine, and I'm sure people still go up to you and you're like, oh, you're the guy from Vine.
Yeah.
But then going from that to realizing your wantingness to not only make music, make scores, but also like a movie that's super personal to yourself.
Bro, I'll never forget when we were at Disneyland once. I don't know if you remember this, but some kid was like, "Holy shit, it's Randy Mancuso."
I remember that. I think we were in line for cars or something.
And from then on, I was like, that's my alter ego, Randy Mancuso.
Yeah.
This kid was I couldn't tell if he was excited to recognize me or a little disappointed.
You know what I expected.
Yeah. He's like short, and I thought that hair was just a joke.
Yeah.
Turns out it's real.
Yeah, you get more comments about your hair than anything else, I feel like. Is that hair real? Like one day you're just going to pull it off and just have something completely
different. It's been a wig the whole time.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were in the middle of talking about
I was just
how great I am.
Yeah. I like the deflection going. No compliments. But how long were you working on? Because I feel like people that are listening, they're aspiring creatives in their own right, and maybe they're making stuff on YouTube or making stuff on Instagram or whatever. How do you tangibly go from having an like ideation in your head and being like, okay, I have synesthesia, this is this like kind of autobiographical about my life, and then the process of actually getting it developed and produced. And it's even when you walked in here, you're on the phone being like, I got a pitch, I did it.
Yeah.
It's like, so you're in that cycle and that world now. Like, how was that for you, like transitioning out of, social, quote unquote, social media now into something more traditional?
Yeah, I mean, it was more strategic than I think I realized, because I got really lazy. Not lazy, but you were there. Like, you noticed the days where we just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
When we could have been out shooting and exploring and learning. And I got really exhausted from the video making, because my work ethic is very strong, but if the passion isn't there, I'm not moving. So I started to fall out of love with trying to pump out all this short form content and count followers. Like, they got really exhausting to me. And I started to put more energy and bandwidth into building a pitch, because I knew the story I wanted to tell. I've known that for a long time. And it was a guy who sees the world with a synesthetic musical perspective. I'd never really seen that done in this way before. And I also knew I wanted to shine light on Brazilian American culture. And in this film, I got to do both. And that's why I play myself. And that's why my mom plays my mom. It's because I wanted to be like a literal representation of my experience. And it took a lot of time, man. Like, it took so long, because you could have the best agents and manager and connections in the world, but making a movie's a miracle. Like, the fact that a movie can get made, I understand when people are like, all my filmmaker friends used to warn me, like, it's impossible to get anything made. I didn't understand at the time, so I was like, well, if you have a great idea and you have the means, you go make it. Boy, was I wrong. But yeah, man. So it was many years of percolating boiled down to, I could see this being a good TV show. So we developed it as a TV show, and I met a great writer, and I met a great producer, and I was working with Agbo and the Russo brothers, and they were the producers of like this series version of this. The whole thing fell apart just through development.
And was this during the pandemic? Like, in terms of timing, was this
several years before?
Before, yeah. So did the pandemic throw a monkey wrench in any of this, or not?
Yeah,
really?
later on. So we went from Música was a series to it's not a series anymore, and I was in Sweden at Alessa's house in Stockholm, and I called Dan Lagana, who wrote the script with me, and I was like, Dan, why don't we imagine this as a feature? It's what I've always wanted anyway, but I was kind of pushed in a different direction. He's like, let's do this. So we reimagined it in the context of a feature, and then we took it out, and a few studios really, really wanted it, and Amazon was the most exciting and the most appropriate. And then we wrote the script. Fast forward to a few years later with a pandemic in the middle, we got greenlit. So all in all, from like inception of the idea to green light, 4 years.
That's pretty good, considering. Yeah.
But like 15 years of thinking about it. You know?
Yeah, and then living the life. And
yeah.
And what benefits have you seen now that once you make your first movie and once you're in the system and you have these connections, are you now seeing that doors are more open to being able to be like, okay, he's done it. He's proved the fact that he can direct, he can act, he can do the music. So are you just constantly now just thinking of new ideas, new things to pitch, new things to act in, or where's your head at? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just since Música, it's been nonstop. I want to make more movies. Most of them are original ideas. But yeah, I mean, it just makes the conversations easier because now you're talking to somebody who's made a film instead of somebody who's idealizing this idea of filmmaking. It's like you can like the movie or not, but people who know what it's like to actually make a film. Yeah. With producers, with the studio, or even outside the studio system. It's just putting it all together and actually crossing the finish line is a miracle. So since then, I've gotten a lot of offers and a lot of great opportunities. There's a lot of shit out there. Most of it's bad, like scripts and ideas. And I also have it's hard for me to get through a script because of my OCD and focus. But yeah, since then I can't wait. It was like the worst and best I've ever felt making a movie. I mean, you know what it's like. It's like stress. You don't know. You lose. It's not even. It's past stress. It's like you lose yourself a bit. And I remember while I was making it, I was like, I'll never do this shit again.
Until it's done.
And here I am, and I'm addicted. I cannot wait to go back.
It really is the best feeling, though.
It's insane.
Because it's one of the few things where so many different people are all coexisting, collaborating on one endeavor, and it's yeah, I don't know. It's one of the few places where it's just when everyone's in a similar mindset, working towards one goal. It's pretty therapeutic. I'd be remiss not to bring up the fact that you met your significant other on this film, and you two are awesome and in love.
Yeah,
I mean, what's it been like having her in your life now?
I think I got really lucky because I'm not like a trained actor, and acting is not my number one passion. Yeah. But I knew I needed to play me in this because it's so personal. And when Cammy came, Cammy was like probably the only person in the world that could play this role the way it was written. It's a Brazilian American girl.
And she produced on it too, right?
She produced it, right? So like she had to speak Portuguese, she had to speak English, she had to have an understanding of both cultures. She had to infuse her personal experience, and she also had to be a green lightable name. Like there's a lot of boxes to tick. Had it not been Cammy, I'd have to change the role slightly. Yeah. Because there was like no one else. So I was over the moon that she came on and fit us into her, busy TV schedule, and she came on as a producer and an actor. So like the chemistry being real really helped me and the film, because when you're directing and also thinking about the script and also doing the music, I don't know, someone like me doesn't have the bandwidth to also pretend to have chemistry. Yeah. So it made my life and job substantially easier.
It's less acting, more just living.
Yeah. So we'd cross shoot like almost all the conversations between two characters. We would cross shoot. Me and JB Smoove, me and Cammy, me and Haley, and definitely me and my mom. That was like 8 cameras. So I didn't know what the hell she was going to say. And the beauty of that was that we just got to have a conversation.
Yeah, that's super cool. Oh, so everything was dual cameras were running?
The more dialogue heavy, more like plot significant conversations were cross shot, so that because me, like I love the conversational, I love improv. Yeah. There's a way to do it with a single camera, but it's just like it's far more.
It saves
difficult.
time too. Yeah. Because if you nail it in that one conversation, it's like I got the coverage. I don't need it. Yeah.
But in cases when shooting with my mom, like we set up 3 cameras, and she didn't quite memorize. she has a hard time memorizing lines and doesn't really understand blocking and eye line. So I had to throw all that away.
Yeah.
And just, I wasn't her director. I was just like her son.
Yeah.
And we set up the cameras and I was like, Mom, let's just talk. And then I'd, in a Curb Your Enthusiasm way, guide her through the beats without her realizing it.
What did you learn about directing and just filmmaking in general from making the movie? Like, what was...
That it's impossible.
Were there any other, like, revelations that came to you, or things that you're like, oh, I did not expect this, or...
I mean, again, I'm lucky because I spent so many years thinking about this, and I'm an editor.
Yeah.
So we'd go into a scene, and I knew exactly what the cut was. That's not something I had to worry about finding later. I already edited it in my head. I edited a version of the opening diner scene years before. We pitched that as a sizzle. Like, so there weren't luckily too many obstacles. That said, you're always racing against time. You're always racing against budget. But I learned how important it is to delegate as someone who likes to do everything themselves.
Yeah.
And how to be truly collaborative. I was very open to ideas. Shane Hurlbut, my DP, had ideas and alts for almost every idea. He very rarely said no. It was usually yes, even if he knew it was a no. And he'd just look for plan B and plan C. So I think the biggest takeaway for me was when you're trying to crew up as a director and figure out who to nominate as your DP, as your AD, as your set designer, and your cast, rather than be credit happy. It's like, oh, this guy shot that music video. Oh, that guy shot choreographed In the Heights. Oh, this person. The better scenario is find people who really understand and believe in your vision. Because if they don't love it, you're going to bump heads. Like, they have to be obsessed with it. Shane, the DP, loved the script and was racing for the phone, even though we couldn't afford him. And I was like, that's the guy I want.
Yeah. Because you can't fake passion. Yeah.
And there were some ambitious ideas in this movie, you know?
Yeah. I mean, some of my favorite moments and even things that we've done together and you just brought it to a whole new level on this film are obviously like one-ers and just like set pieces. One of my favorite is you just walking through and the restaurant and the sets literally being moved behind you. And so how logistically did you go through, like, was there a lot of rehearsal for that, or were you ran it through a couple times before you started rolling, and obviously that's something you knew you wanted to do, that was in the script? And
right. Yeah, I mean, that's a testament to the prep of Shane Hobart, my DP, and Patrick Sullivan, the production designer. Like, they had like a book of schematics. Shane designed a book of schematics so that nothing was left to chance. He knew exactly where every light was going to be and where every person was going to be and how the camera was going to move. You know this because we've known each other for a very long time. But every scene, set piece, and sequence in the film was inspired by something I've already done on the internet.
Yeah.
Right? So that Oneer was that Lele Pons music video I directed, right? Yeah. But just in a more expensive elevated version where the camera had more movement. The montage is the montage where I'm against all those drawings and it's the pace is getting faster. That's Circle of Love.
The song. Yeah, in the music video.
Which song?
Circle of Love, is that from
Circle of Love? Yeah. That YouTube video that I did ages ago. It's probably I think it has the most views of any video I've done. That was me testing that. That was the poor man's version of what the montage was in the film. All the puppet stuff I've done, I've tested those. You know, the Starbucks song that opens the movie is a Vine that Diego did 10 years ago. So it's like I auditioned a lot of these ideas to see if they work, and once they did, at least for me, I did the expensive version.
Yeah,
because I could.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone sees the final product, but what you're saying too is you don't see or maybe you do, but you see the years that go into it. It's like you knew you were able to do it because you've already experimented on a smaller scale.
That's right. And then there's some things that I tried that I didn't know I could do, and that's the fun of it. It's like every day is a little bit of a risk.
Yeah. And I guess that brings me to the idea of just like inspiration in general, because you and I both love just watching movies. We're always like mentally taking notes on things. How now, because obviously you're the busiest you've ever been, are you more conscious of like what you're consuming and when you're consuming stuff? Is it a lot less of just scrolling through your phone, and when you are, you're sitting down to watch movies and TV shows and listen to albums? And do you just store everything to memory, or do you literally write stuff down and you're like, okay, this, like the lighting in this or whatever? How does that work?
No, I don't have like a literal way of educating myself. I don't know if this is the case with you, but like watching a great film or a new film or series is hard work. Like, it's really hard work for me. So I admire these people. I envy these people who are like, oh, I try to watch one new film a week, or I watch one new series a month. I can't. Like, I physically can't. I end up 90% of the time just watching like The Office, because I want to watch that new P.T. Anderson movie, but it's got to be the right timing, because it's a lot of work for me, because I'm so analytical and I'm so locked in. It's like work. It's a pleasure. It's a high, but it's, I don't know. Can you relate to that at all?
A little bit. I mean, like my travel time is my watch time, so I'll add watch lists on Netflix and the different streaming services, and then when I travel, I'll try to watch whatever I feel like is going to be good. And then I take a bath every night. I got a little setup with like the iPad, so after my hips are killing me from soccer, I'll like lay in an Epsom salt bath and watch something for an hour.
Whoa, taking a bath and watching something new, that's a whole other level of
euphoria.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. So I mean, that's cool, because that means that a lot of your inspiration then is coming from very
stuff I've seen.
Yeah, very formative years then, like your college, high school, things that imprinted on your brain at like a very fundamental age.
I know, dude. It sucks, because it's like I want to see everything that's happening, everything that's at the forefront of cinema and TV and entertainment. But for some reason, I just revert back to watching stuff I've already seen, because for me it's like safe.
Yeah.
It's like if I rewatch this film that I already know I'm in love with and I know it's great, I won't be disappointed. But if I take a chance on this new piece of material, I might be really upset or disappointed, or it might inspire something in me that I don't have time to think about, which is ironic, because I'm trying to get people to watch my film, which is the work of a first-time filmmaker. I owe it to more first-time filmmakers and veteran filmmakers to do that. I have a hard time watching new things.
It's slightly overwhelming, but I mean, I don't know. I think too, sometimes my biggest fear is a quote in the movie Her, where he's like, sometimes I feel like I felt everything I'm gonna feel, and everything from now on is just gonna be a lesser version of that. And that's kind of how maybe that's why we go back to these older films and stuff like that, or my brain just defaults to like nostalgic things. And I think that's why nostalgia is such a big, everyone's just trying to go back to that feeling where they were a kid and there's everything felt new. And
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the wrong approach, though. I mean, part of being at peace and sustaining some form of happiness is being open to new experiences and new ideas, and not just being locked in the closet of the past. And yet I'm locked.
Yeah, or just try to make everything feel new. That's like always been a goal of mine. It's like, even if I'm doing the same thing, just try to be present so it feels like a new experience.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is kind of hard, but it, because even here, I'll go to the same markets, or I'll go to Disneyland or Universal, things that I've done a handful of times. It's just like, this one, just make sure I'm still enjoying this and just not comparing it to a previous version of it.
Yeah, exactly. There's also so many thoughts. Which one to share first? I think it's like restaurants and food for me. It's like I could either take a chance on this new restaurant everyone's talking about and risk being disappointed.
You get food poisoning.
Yeah. Or just go to this place where I know exactly what I'm going to get and it's going to be amazing. There's no right or wrong. I assume the better thing to do is to try new things and open more doors. But it's hard sometimes when you have limited bandwidth and limited free time and limited social energy.
Yeah, time's the biggest thing, right? It's just, I try to just be so, it's like the older you get, the more aware you are that this life is finite. So every minute I'm like, I either need to be relaxed or productive or just not filling it with nonsense or whatever. But yeah, then at a certain point you could just be running away from a million different things. Yeah.
Like nothing stresses me out more than come and meet us. There's a few new people I want you to meet. No. I don't want to meet new people.
I need you to send me their information.
Yeah.
I need headshots and I need to know
all their names and what their favorite movies are, or I'm not moving. I have a hard time meeting new people. I have a hard time watching new films, and I have a hard time going to new restaurants. I like what I like. Yeah. Right. But I'm trying to change it. That's. I think that's why making a movie was the most exhilarating high that I've ever felt, was because there were so many new experiences. But it was all for the betterment of my idea. So yes, I'm going to meet all these people. I'm going to work with these people who I've never worked with before. I'm going to have to put out really annoying fires. I'm going to have arguments with people who I've never met before, who are far more experienced than I am. But it's worth it if it's all in pursuit of one cohesive creative vision. But I'm not the type of person who likes to go out for a walk and I hope I meet somebody new. And you know, that sense of adventure in me is
yeah. What's the last vacation you've taken?
Last vacation, I guess. Well, I'm actually leaving this Saturday. I'm going to Italy.
Oh, there you go.
Venice Film Festival, and that's kind of like a mini vacation to me. There hasn't been like one period of time in years where I said I'm gonna go to this place and just relax, no work. That doesn't sound exciting to me because I want to work. You know, I want to be able to get an email from my agents about this project that I've been trying to hear back about and talk about it. I can't unplug fully, and I think there will be a time, maybe sooner rather than later, where I'm completely off the grid. But like, I just made my first film, and this is like that year following that preceding couple years of momentum, and I want to seize that.
So what are some things that you're just really excited about? Like obviously you have some ideas that you're pitching right now. Music, I'm sure, is a forever pursuit for you. Are there certain things that you have in your brain that you're like, these are things that now that I've done my first film, that this is like what I want to keep doing? Or
yeah, well, I have my next 3 films. I already know.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Well, I already know what they are. I already know these. I don't care how long it takes. I could be sitting here, part 2 of this podcast at 60, and still not have made any of them. But I have to make them.
Are they things you've written, or just IP that you own and like, or what?
They're all original. One of them is based on a very bizarre urban legend, but there was no IP. There was just the knowledge that this urban legend exists. So I had a piece of IP created so that I could adapt.
Nice.
And then the other 2 are 2 original screenplays that I'll be writing with my my co-writer. We're halfway through the first one. Yeah. So sold 2 films this year since Música, which I used to think was something to celebrate, and it is. Some people go their entire lifetime without getting a film sold to a major studio. That said, they're not greenlit, right? We sold the pitch, which means now we have to write it, and then I don't know how many drafts until the studio and the producers and we are happy with it, and then you have to talk, how are you going to turn this script into an actual film? And then once you figure out how to do that, then you hope for a green light, and then once you get a green light, you have to go make it. That could take 10 years. That could take 6 months. It could take a lifetime. So I think that's where I'm at now. It's like, let me not have just one thing going. Let me put my eggs in a few different baskets that I'm excited about.
And are you gonna act and direct in all of them, or are you cool with just being director with some of them, or just producer? Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever lead a film that I direct ever again. That was specific to Música because it was a very personal story. But it took a massive toll. And sometimes you want to sit back and paint the picture. But when you're the one being painted, it's hard to do that. It's hard to have this objective directorial perspective. And there's so many times, I'm in every fucking scene of Música, right?
Yeah.
There's so many times where I just wanted to sit back and just watch the story be told in this immersive way. And I couldn't because I was in it. I wouldn't have changed a thing, but I won't be doing that again anytime soon. I want to direct actors that are far more talented than I am.
Yeah, it is tough just being in front of a camera too, because even as we're recording this, there's a part of my brain that's just like, is this battery gonna die? Is the audio working? Or is this framing okay? Is the focus okay?
I know.
And I think that's the beauty of being a jack of all trades and knowing the editing side of it and everything. But then there's some control. And if you're supposed to be acting and feeling a genuine emotion,
right,
and there's even the slightest part of your brain, I feel like it still translates through your eyes somehow.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's,
and you know, it's not a sustainable way of making a movie, rushing to Village to watch playback in between every take. You know, you'll never get through the day. So I had to trust people.
Yeah.
You know, my sister was on set every day, and she was like my second set of eyes. I had a producer I trusted, DP I trusted. So it comes down to having a great team that is an extension of your vision, and the set is an externalization of your mind. And if you don't have those things, it's a lot harder. I can't imagine what I would have done without a good crew.
And then what about the music side of things? Are you trying to just score things that you have no attachment to? Is that a passion of yours, or you just want to keep scoring movies of your own? And maybe are you working towards an album anytime soon? Or
no plans of making an album as a solo artist necessarily, but I love composing, and I'm very eager to compose other filmmakers' work, just to expand and continue building that repertoire. But that's another part of why I love making films, is because I can't think of anywhere else where I can make music and also direct and also write and also act. Like, it's an all-encompassing art form. Like, where else can you do that? Stage, I suppose.
Yeah.
TV, film, and stage is where I don't have to compartmentalize my passions.
And do you think of legacy ever? The older I get, the more I think of, like, if I were to go today, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, it's like, how are people going to remember me? Like, what do I want to leave behind? Does that inspire
This podcast is what we left behind for the world.
For no one to listen to.
Yeah, for people to watch and be like, this guy hates watching new movies. Sick.
No, I just try to, like, think if I can tell I think
you should be sponsored by Erewhon, bro.
You do at this point.
We've product placed this like the American Idol judges and Coca-Cola. We even take sips at the same time.
I know. But I don't know. It's a heavy topic, I guess, but that's why I like movies.
Jesus Christ, we're talking about films and stuff, and you're like, when you die, will you be remembered?
What was your first memory of being born?
Dude, I don't remember shit.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I've learned about myself.
In general?
Very selective memory. I've been told I have dissociative amnesia.
Okay. I mean, yeah, me too. I mean, our both.
Okay. Okay, that's enough of that.
No, but I think we had similar upbringings, like with our parents and stuff, and our dads are basically twins. So it's like, I don't know. There was moments that weren't the best in our childhood. So I feel like the way you cope with things is maybe you'd put them into little boxes, and I feel like that's just how I deal with stuff in general. If there's just little things that I don't want to remember, or even I don't even know if it's on a conscious level, I'll just be like, okay, it's somewhere in a closet.
That's definitely, I've learned that's what I tend to do.
We're just assholes.
We're just pieces of shit.
We're just terrible at listening.
I'm a terrible listener too, but that's the thing. When you do have my attention, you have it completely undivided.
It's either 100 or 0.
I'm fully in or not at all.
Want to see my impression of you?
Yeah.
What did you say to me? I'll know when his eyes just glaze over and you go, what did you just say to me?
I love the tongue in the mouth thing too.
Yeah.
We look like a crackhead.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you saw the movie and you know me personally.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same exact person.
No, yeah.
I wasn't really acting in Música. Like, maybe I had some lines to memorize, but like, I was just being myself, which is, I think that's my skill as an actor, is I'm able to be myself on camera, but I couldn't give you this breathtaking performance in another character's shoes. That's not the kind of, I don't have that skill.
But I feel like you have that skill as a director. Like if you're not the actor and because you like so many different types of movies, so to be able to direct something, whether it's a drama or a comedy, has musical elements, whatever it is, I feel like you could be objective enough to step into different and direct in different facets of that.
Wait, what did you just say?
As a director, yeah, Jesus Christ. I was like, is this a
Is this a bit?
Yeah.
Or does he suck?
Oh, Groundhog's Day.
I'd like to believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I only speak on my experience, but like that was such a big conversation when we were making shit back in the day.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, and all these like young creative people from all walks of life, all different parts of the country and the world, who are all just trying to figure out what they wanted to say. I feel like I've always had an understanding of the kind of stories I want to make and what it is I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But you never really quite know, because you change, and as you change and evolve, so does your perspective, and that has an impact on your creativity. But the big question was, can you translate this internet thing to mainstream? Remember that? It's like, how do you bridge the gap between content creation and videos and YouTube and Vine and Instagram to stage and pop music and filmmaking and TV? And I realized today more than ever that I see them as, the approach is the same. There is no, that's boxed in there, that's boxed in there, let's figure out how to bridge it. It's more so like, I think they coexist.
Yeah, and they kind of always have. It's just people's perception of it, because everyone was just, once there's a certain way of doing things in like the traditional media, they're similar to our mindset. It's like new is weird for them and maybe unaccepting. So when they saw people just making 6-second, I remember when we shot a brand deal or something in the middle of the woods. And,
that oneer?
Yeah, and then John Favreau saw it, and you were like, "Oh, good luck with Jungle Book or something." He's like, and he responded saying, "It looks a lot like this," and it was the video of you like wandering through the woods.
Oh yeah, like, John Favreau. That's right.
But it's
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's just
dissociative
cool.
Amnesia.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that your life is so cool. You forget when John Favreau says something nice to you.
Yeah, dude, this is nearly 10 years ago we're talking about. But to your point,
I think he's always had that understanding, because even when he made the movie Chef,
Vine is in Chef.
Yeah,
right?
Vine is in Chef, and it played a pivotal role. So it's just cool now that there really isn't that bridge anymore. YouTubers are making movies, and YouTubers have HBO shows or TikTok. I think it's just less of the platform. And it used to be, it's like, oh, you're a TikTok or you're a Vine or whatever. People want to put you in a box. And now it's just, I know the term probably sucks, content creator, but that really is, you're just a creative. You're making stuff.
You're just making shit.
Yeah, it doesn't
You're telling
matter.
stories.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I don't think just because you have a following or you've been successful on TikTok or YouTube, that means that warrants you being a filmmaker.
No.
I think you got to want to love making films. Or be in love with it. You should, I feel like there's a bit of an agenda there where there's this, it's the illusion that all you need in order to have a microphone on a stage or a camera and a crew is a following. And no amount of followers will make a good movie. You know what I mean?
No, because at the end of the day, it's the voice and the story, and as long as you have like a specific voice as in like a perspective in which you tell things, and if the story's good, I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference. You can tell when the heart is there versus when it's not. Also, the formula doesn't really exist anymore. What works and what doesn't work. What guarantees a box office success and what doesn't. So it's a little bit of the Wild West as far as filmmaking and music making, which is exciting. I find exciting, but this idea that for me was actually a challenge. The fact that I had a following online was an obstacle for me to get Música made because of the stigma. It was like, do we really want to invest in somebody who's built their career on the internet? It would have been easier to make Música without it.
Yeah, because in a weird way, people already pigeonholed you and had a perception of who you were.
Yeah, so I had to prove it by having a real story, a real vision, and shooting a short. I shot like with shots a poor man's version of the
Opening?
what became the opening of Música. I think I had to do that in order to earn the respect.
That's also just good advice too, because there is no one way of getting something greenlit or made anyway. So if it's you have the initiative to go and physically show someone, it's like, I know how to make this. It might not look exactly the way I want it to, but here's like an example. And as long as they can see the idea of it.
Yeah. Proof of concepts are really important, even if they look like shit, right? Like it shows that you're actually doing it. The proactivity goes a long way. Because you can say, I have a vision, I have the best story. Everyone's vision is the best story, right? I have the best vision in the world. It's a story like you've never seen against a backdrop you've never seen before. So, okay, prove it.
Yeah. And just
And I was like, okay, motherfucker, here it is.
Here's 100 vines in a row. It's one long movie. That's funny too. And I mean, that also, it's cool. Your upbringing is so unique anyway. It's like Italian dad, Portuguese mom, Brazilian, grew up in Jersey. It's you already have a unique perspective, and you've touched a couple different lanes. So you're like, okay, this is how I see the world. And yeah, I mean, obviously the synesthesia part was just super cool in general. But
yeah, I'm very lucky that I grew up. Part of me grew up in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, because of my mom, and another part was Sarno in southern Italy, and then the other part was Newark, New Jersey, and then another part was where I went to school, which was Glen Ridge, New Jersey, and the Montclair area, which is, those four places are so distinct and so vastly different from one another. I think it gives you a sense of worldliness that I use.
And you're raised by a puppet, so that
yeah. Sometimes I don't know who the real awkward puppet is, if it's Diego or if it's me.
Yeah, you go to sleep at night and Diego wakes up.
Am I a man? Am I a muppet?
Yeah, and it's also different being inspired by someone and then just someone having like a name and a following and stuff, because luckily being in LA and being in this industry, we rub shoulders with a lot of people that have fame and accolades and stuff. But for me, I always geek out at the people where it's like, oh, I listen to your music, or I love watching your film, or like you inspire me in some way. Man. Like I met Ludwig Göransson at
Genius.
At a premiere, and I was geeking out over like him more than anyone else. It's like, oh, that Black Panther soundtrack's my favorite.
I get more starstruck by composers probably than anyone else. And then I feel lucky that I'm now friends with a bunch of them. That's been like the coolest part of this journey, is connecting with those guys.
Yeah.
Michael Giacchino and Benjamin Wallfish, who's now is a good buddy of mine. And Rachel Portman. Haven't met Hans yet.
Would you freak out?
Yeah.
Play it cool?
Yeah, I'd probably play it cool. But so many of my composer friends were under his wing, like Benjamin Wallfish, like Harry Gregson Williams. So I feel like I know him by association.
Yeah. Yeah, him and...
But Ludwig's just doing the coolest shit, man. He's
so diverse, too, from Childish Gambino to Black Panther to Oppenheimer. It's just,
dude, that score was my favorite part of the movie.
For sure. And it's cool, too, how now... What I like about TikTok specific is that Vine, I feel like, was very comedy heavy, and I feel like TikTok is leaning more towards music and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, sounds is what goes viral on TikTok, so it's cool. There'll be music scores and stuff that will be a trending sound, and just seeing how people interpret that.
Yep.
But yeah,
it's people don't even know how much film and TV they're actually consuming. They're that week a sound from a film that's 20 years old goes viral and they don't even know it. This happens to me all the time. People are like, "Oh, I just did this thing with that sound." I'm like, that's from The Grinch, Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Like 25 years ago.
Yeah, there's a sound bite of like We Are Infinite from Perks of Being a Wallflower, which is something I used in a YouTube video like 6-7 years ago, and now it's like trending and people are using it all the time. I'm like, that's from Perks of Being a Wallflower, right? And it's just, but it's cool.
It's cool, but it's also a bit like disappointing, and I think that's us getting old.
Yeah. I just wonder if I'm going to be like the old dude on my front porch. You'd be like, these freaking kids. Like
I remember watching La La Land, freaking out, and then my dad's like, "Have you seen Umbrellas of Cherbourg?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, what's that?" French film, musical, looks very inspirational. And then I watched it, but we need to be inspired and reimagine and reinvent and steal from the old and reinvent it as the new.
Everything's recycled.
Yeah.
I think it's just taking the best bits of it and then like channeling it through your lens.
Yeah.
Not straight up copying it, but finding a way of being like, this is super cool. This inspires me. How do I
Steal it.
Yeah, how do I just directly steal it?
Yeah, just frame per frame. Deal with the lawsuit later.
Yeah. Well, I know you have to go soon, but
That's an hour already?
what time is it?
Yeah, 3:27. I gotta go.
I'll ask you one last question. Then I'll never see you again.
No. You'll see me probably at soccer tonight.
Yeah.
No, or tomorrow.
I'm down. But if you had one piece of advice to give to an inspiring creator or to something you could have told yourself when you were in high school, what would that be?
I try to change as little as possible, as generic as that is, because the journey has been really, really interesting and rewarding. But I'd probably just more so a reminder, and it'd be don't overthink. Overthinking, I think, is the great inhibitor of creative.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to just do it.
Just go with your gut.
Go with the gut and the initial instinct. Don't go down this rabbit hole of overthinking, because you might not in the long run be so happy about what comes out.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice.
And I think that we have to remind ourselves of that, at every stage of life, because overthinking is a cancer.
Is there a way that you do that yourself? Is there like any tools that you have for not overthinking? Or
I just really try to remind myself what was the instinctive reaction to that idea, or what was the first version of the first idea, the first thought, the first conversation, the first impression you got of somebody. I try to remind myself of that, and it's not always accurate, but it helps me stay a little bit more grounded.
Yeah. I try to remind myself that I once dreamt of being where I am now, because I can get so caught up in just wanting more forever. Yeah. And I'm just like, I dreamt of being in LA. I dreamt of being in a house. I dreamt of doing what I'm doing. It's like, now just be thankful for that and go with that. Easier said than done, but
totally. We have to constantly practice it.
Yeah, it is a practice like anything else, but thank you for being here.
Dude, you kidding me? Thanks so much for having me. Same time tomorrow?
Yeah.
Talk more about overthinking?
Yeah.
This is awesome, dude. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome to the ADHD podcast.
Yeah, brought to you by Air One.
Air One.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Love you, dude.
Love you too.